The cathedral echoed with cheers. Incense choked the air, thick and sweet. Prince Elian knelt, young and hopeful, before the altar. Today, he would be king. The weight of the crown settled upon his brow, cold metal against skin. A shiver, then a scream. Not his own. The air grew frigid. Laughter, sharp and cruel, echoed from the crown. Elian grasped his head, the metal burning like ice. Visions flooded his mind, whispers of ancient pacts and forbidden magic. The cathedral spun, the joyous hymns replaced by the rasping chant of the dead. He saw the truth of his lineage, the curse woven into his bloodline. This crown, his birthright, was a shackle. He was not a king, but a vessel. Days bled into weeks. The whispers in Elian's mind intensified, a constant murmur that threatened to consume his thoughts. They spoke of power, of dominion, of shaping the world to his will. He fought against the insidious whispers, clinging to the memory of the kind, just ruler he had always aspired to be. But the crown was a hungry thing, feeding on his doubts, amplifying his fears. He withdrew from his advisors, his friends, his family. Their presence was a painful reminder of the man he once was, the man the crown was stealing from him piece by piece. He saw their concern, their fear reflected in their eyes. It fueled his paranoia. They pitied him, he thought, saw him as weak, unfit. The crown whispered that he needed to prove them wrong. The kingdom had welcomed their new king with open arms, but their joy soon turned to unease. Elian was a ghost haunting the halls of his own palace. Gone was the vibrant young prince, replaced by a gaunt, haunted figure. Elian, sensing their fear, retreated further. He constructed walls of lies and half-truths, cloaking his growing darkness from the world. He convinced himself that it was for their own good. He held court less frequently, his pronouncements growing harsher, his judgments swifter, more brutal. The whispers applauded his every cruel act, feeding his growing conviction that the only way to rule was through fear. The kingdom, once prosperous and vibrant, began to crumble under the weight of its king's paranoia. Section 4. The Price of Power. War came, as it inevitably did, a storm of steel and fire on the horizon. Elian, urged by the crown, saw it not as a threat, but as an opportunity. He rode into battle at the head of his army, a specter king clad in black iron. The crown thrummed with power, whispering promises of victory, of glory. The enemy faltered as Elian unleashed the full force of the crown's magic. He felt no remorse as his enemies burned, their screams music to his ears. This was the power the crown promised, the power that was rightfully his. Only later, amidst the ashes and the silence, did the horror of what he had done truly sink in. He had won, but at what cost? He had become a monster. Section 5. The Hollow King. He stood before the shattered mirror in his chambers, his reflection a stranger. Gone was the boy who had dreamed of ruling with justice and compassion. In his place stood a king of shadows, his eyes burning with a cold emerald fire. The crown had taken its due. He was hollow, a puppet dancing to the tune of an ancient, malevolent power. The crown whispered its approval, its victory complete. Now, it promised, they would rule together, reshaping the world in their image. Elian, his mind a battlefield no longer his own, could only nod in silent acquiescence. The kingdom had a king once more, but he brought with him not the promise of a golden age, but the cold, suffocating embrace of an endless night.